See, we're alive. See, you're already an official Cageside Live person. We've just had random off-air conversations while I don't know what I'm doing. Hey, everybody, we're late, and it's my fault as usual. Kyle's here. He's a blue dot.
Yep. Thought my camera was going to work, but it didn't. So it's blue dot. It's Christian for y'all. John said in the 5-second pre-show that we ran.
The award-winning but very brief pre-show today. Yeah, how's it going, man?
It's good. It's good. Had a random day off, so we can finally do this.
There you go. Yeah, we were. I don't know. We were last week. So Kane filled in for Gino last week, but Kyle had offered, and then, but the timing didn't work out. So here we are now today on a beautiful Monday with all kinds of weird news happening, and we're going to talk about whatever the hell crosses our mind. So ostensibly, we figured Kyle writes for covers Lucha Underground and TNA for us, among many things, and so we're going to talk some about those things, but we will also probably talk about Alberto Del Rio punching Ninja Turtles and Kevin Owens yelling at children. It's been a weird day.
You want to start with that? You want to start with Kevin Owens yelling at children?
Sure. Yeah. That's a hot topic. Let's do it. So set the stage.
So I didn't read Mark's piece because I was looking at the we were trying to figure this out. But apparently he told some kid, he tells some kid that he should be wearing his shirt, but then he didn't want him to wear his shirt. And then and then the mother wrote a long piece. I don't know where she posted it. It was like on a Facebook or what.
Apparently it's Facebook, but a lot of people were reporting it, but Mark and I were trying to find the source, and so hopefully it's. Oh wait, no. I guess it looks like he found. Oh no, he linked to where David Bixenspan had wrote it. Okay. Yeah. So somewhere on social media, this woman wrote a long anti-Kevin Owens screed because he was a heel.
I mean, this for me is why we can't get good heels. It's like that time Triple H made a kid cry and then hugged him like 5 seconds later.
Yep.
Which I think most people like applauded that. But at the same time, when we're talking about there's no good heels, this is our reason why. Because as soon as someone gets some real heat, people are either complaining about the booking that got them that heat, like when Baron Corbin didn't give SmackDown the Cruiserweight to Survivor Series. People were all pissed about the booking instead of that Corbin, who could have used the heat. Or here, Kevin Owens trying to actually get people to dislike them, and now people want him to apologize.
Yeah, this is at a house show. So so from the woman's post, she says that Owens singled out her son and commented on the shirt he was wearing, which was a Roman Reigns shirt before Owens' match with Reigns, I believe, and said, you should get this shirt, pointing at his shirt, and then said, actually, don't get this shirt. I don't ever want you to wear my shirt. Don't you ever try to touch me. And then the 7-year-old, who she says he was trying to get a high five, and then the kid started crying and wanting to leave. So, yeah, and I don't know. And then Owens tweeted something with a picture of him face planted on the stage that said, wrestler told my son not to touch him. I'm completely heartbroken, but maybe if I complain, I'll get free stuff.
I saw that.
Yeah, and then some other stuff about apparently he tweeted the same picture and said, "Hey, can we take a picture together? Cool, thanks. Can you smile bigger though?" So his day. So it seems that Owens thinks that she's angling for some free stuff she's angling for the virtual Triple H hug that the other kid that cried got, more or less. Yeah. See, this is the problem with the quote unquote reality era, is that people know, I don't know. Yeah, it's not the good old days where the grandma could take a swing at Hulk Hogan and, people try to kill Gorgeous George, that kind of stuff. No, now they go on social media and complain that someone was mean to their kid.
And it is tough also with WWE tries to be this, like, at one hand where there's entertainment with bad guys and good guys, and then all these bad guys are doing these, like, charitable things, and they're all about, what was it, leaving with smiles on their faces? Is that what their tag is?
That's Vince's, yes, yeah. Their job is to put smiles on faces.
You can't have it both ways, at least in the case like this. You can either have someone trying to be a heel who half the crowd chants it cheers for anyway, so at least work on being a heel.
Right.
or put some smiles on kids' faces, but you really can't do both.
I mean, I guess, and I don't want this to come across as like I'm blaming Roman here, because I don't know that the match was against Reigns. I'm assuming it was the way, because that's how I would think Owens would try to get some heat on him. But maybe Reigns could have said something to the kid. I don't know. I mean, I'm just thinking out loud. It's just, I mean, I feel bad if the 7-year-old did cry, but that's sort of the point. I mean, it's more. It would be more awesome for that kid now because he hates Kevin Owens and he wants to see Kevin Owens get his ass kicked. That's what the goal is.
And I mean, isn't really on the mother to be like, this isn't real. He's playing a part. I mean, she could have maybe diffused that. I don't know. I don't know what happened. I don't want to sit here and blame parents not having any children or anything like that.
Right.
I don't think.
And I mean, her longer post has stuff about like, this was the first time we could go to a show since my mom's leukemia cleared up and stuff. So she clearly has a lot going on here.
Yes, she does. And I don't want to blame her. I mean, I'm sure seeing your child cry for any reason is terrible. So I'm not going to be like, she's wrong in this. But at the same time, I mean, heels are going to heal. And then,
but I mean, compare it to when Sasha went after Izzy. I mean, obviously, Izzy is as smart a kid as you get. She knows she's part of the show. But I mean, she cried, and presumably Cody and his mom. I mean, they're her parents. It's crazy that I know this kid's parents' names, but welcome to wrestling media.
Aren't they the Starbucks?
They hugged her and they explained it to her, and life goes on. And and this kid, I don't know. It's crazy.
Yeah.
What a world.
Oh, cat sighting.
Well, we're here?
Yeah, no, you pass through. You have to. Don't blink.
Oh, I'm in a slightly different. This is my Facebook Live setup because Julie is off all week and she's down in my basement watching television. So I have been ostracized to the guest room, and so I don't know where the cats are coming from. I didn't have time to get my hairs did. Whatever. See the sacrifices I make for you, Kyle.
No, I don't. you upstairs instead of downstairs and you didn't shower. That's the sacrifice.
I am pretty #blessed. You're right. I don't know. I think Gino just posted the link to this show. He's back from vacation today. He sort of was back this weekend because I had previous commitments. He just posted the link to this show in the Cageside offices and didn't comment on it. So I imagine he's mad at me, and we've somehow betrayed his trust. And he will probably be coming at you with full-on piece of shit references, so
nothing's going to change.
Yeah, exactly. He's back. That's what that whole thing means. All right. Yeah, so we had that. We have the Owens thing, which I think we're in agreement. I mean, it sucks, but certainly not going to get mad at Kevin Owens. I do think it's a little, if I was him personally, I probably wouldn't have tweeted at the woman.
No, just leave it be.
Just leave it alone and let the company handle it. But I guess that's Kev.
Well, I guess he's still healing it. So, I mean, any people who come out here hating him a little more for this, even if it's not for, like, things later, like maybe he's not going for that. Here's another cat. Jesus. Passing through.
You've been here, Kyle. I mean, they hid from you, but you got a sense of it.
I saw two of them.
I'm living the gimmick here. I'm not kidding around. There's a lot of cats up in this joint.
No, but with Kevin, if it pisses at least like just a couple people off and they are pissed off at him later on, that's good. So when he's in a match with someone, they're like, I kind of like this guy, but he's also kind of a dick, so maybe I hope he loses. That's good. That might be how you have to get heat nowadays in 2016, is to get heat for a different reason. Go like Jericho used to go online and say something obnoxious, and people are like, oh, shut up, Jericho. But now you hate him a little more. So
yep. And he's feuding with the, allegedly the company's big project to get over. So if this gets Roman a little bit more a few more cheers on Sunday.
We'll see. Where are they on Sunday?
They're in my hometown of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Okay,
which once famously booed Batista out of the building, but I don't know if they have a specific hard-on for Roman. So should be interesting. So it's sort of a Pittsburgh, I guess, is kind of it's an old wrestling has been very popular there for a long time. So I guess it's kind of a smart town. But I also read in the Observer yesterday that they are offering 2-for-1. They're offering a 2-for-1 sale on Roadblock tickets
because they can't sell them.
It's not a hot ticket. Yeah.
Well, it's not a hot ticket. They last on Raw, they barely discussed the title feud that is this Monday. That is how much they care about this show. I mean,
well, they also apparently, I think they had to give away some tickets to TLC too. I think the double pay-per-view. I mean, we've talked about this in the orifices a lot. I mean, it's a lot of fucking wrestling, and it's a lot of big wrestling. So nothing becomes big if you've got a show every 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's too much. And I'm guessing with a house show, if they ran a house show that Sunday, they don't care if it sells out. It's a house show.
Right, yeah, it's less of a big deal.
They can't come on the pay-per-view and then have to put everyone in half of the arena because the other half is empty.
Right. Treat it like a 205 live.
Exactly.
Oh, shit. All right, what do you want to talk about next, man?
We can either hit our meat or we could talk about this Chris Hero thing.
All right, I've spent this morning trying to figure out how I want to cover this in a post, because it's kind of ironic that a lot of wrestling websites are like, Chris Hero is being cryptic about journalism, and that's so I don't know. It's like we're eating ourselves here. Yeah. So Chris Hero, the word came out yesterday from the Observer, which is one of the. They're as reliable as anybody in this stupid business, and they're the biggest name probably in terms of wrestling journalism. So Dave Meltzer came out and said he heard Hero's re-signing. Pro Wrestling Sheet confirmed it and said he's coming back as Cassius Ohno. And then this morning, Chris Hero tweets out that he's disappointed in irresponsible journalism. Basically, I don't think it was much more than that. He didn't specifically mention the signing story or anything. He just said he's disappointed.
Wrestling journalism. He could be upset with like fake news stories online. We
might.
But we assume with the timing that we wrote this. I mean, we ran it last night after. I mean, the Sheet runs it and the Observer runs it.
Runs it.
That's a pretty solid.
That's as good as gold for us. Yeah.
We never get two sources. Yeah. 2 sources is big.
Well, we're not even real journalism, so let's just be clear about that.
Yeah, but when I say sources, I mean other news stories already reporting it. I don't mean our source.
Right.
We don't have.
Right. We are an aggregator. We're a fan blog. It is what it is. Right.
But we'll see. So
what do you think? So what do you make of the whole? I mean, I don't know what there's, because we could talk about the fact that he might be coming back, which is pretty big news, and we can talk about what the weird tweet is.
Yeah, I don't really care about the tweet anymore, to be honest. I mean, it's not much. We don't know.
Right.
We don't know. He could be. I mean, my bet is he didn't want the word to leak out, and then he just tweeted it to. But I bet. I mean, those two. I guess anything can happen and anything can change. But I bet those two reporting it. If I were to have to bet, I bet they were right, and I bet he just doesn't want the word to leak out too soon. So as for that part, as for him coming back, that's more on your end, because you were covering NXT. I wasn't only watching NXT on the tail end. He was a lame duck at that point. Because he was doing a taping. When I started watching, he was doing a taping, but had already been released. So they were just playing the stuff prior to. So I don't really have much of an opinion on his NXT run the first time. That's more on you.
It had moments of greatness. He had a little mini feud back before Regal had his last neck fusion surgery or whatever spinal stuff Regal's had done. He had a feud with Regal, and they had what at the time was one of my favorite matches in like recent memory. Even though it was only like a 10-minute TV match, it was pretty awesome, and it was William Regal versus Chris Hero, Cassius Ohno. But yeah, he never really got. I mean, he was not somebody like if they sign him now, I imagine he's probably going straight to the title picture, and he was not. It was a different kind of NXT then. I mean, he was there when like Seth Rollins was still the champ, even after, he won the belt and then got caught up and the Shield thing happened. And they had this weird period of time where, they were trying to juggle that. And then Big E, when he was still Langston, was champ. So it was that era it was pre-Sami Zayn, pre-Kevin Owens, but it looked really promising. The rumor was, one of the angles about this that's interesting is that the rumor was that he was let go because of his physique and his lack of interest in working to change his physique. And since he's been gone, he's gotten a lot heavier.
No, he has not improved his physique.
No, he is full on. And the word is that, which is also interesting, because the word was that part of why he hasn't improved his physique is because he's got like chronic back issues. So working out is very painful for him or something. And I don't know if that's true or not. That's just a rumor that was out there, which like, how's he going to clear medical if that's the case? But the flip side of that is Kevin Owens is Universal Champ, whatever you think of his run. So this is not exactly like you have to look like, Psycho Sid to be WWE champ anymore.
No, you don't. You
So yeah, it's. I mean, I think NXT needs him. They need somebody who is a little bit more of an indie darling and less of a TNA X. Not that some of those guys aren't great, but I don't think they bring the same buzz with the core NXT fan base.
No. I mean, I think he'll only be NXT. I think I read he was 37. So
yeah, he's not a spring chicken. He's got some miles on that frame too.
NXT for developmental, they are old. Like
yeah,
young, Aries, Rude, and then they bring in Hero. Like and Joe obviously. Yeah. That's an old man.
He'll turn 37 on Christmas Eve, Mr. Chris Spradlin, Chris Hero Spradlin.
Good for him.
So yeah. I mean, the other thing is there was the rumor today, Steve Corino left Ring of Honor to be a Performance Center trainer, and Nigel McGuinness might be following him. So maybe Hero's there in a dual role as, talent/trainer.
Maybe. Certainly possible. A lot of people have taken that role in the Performance Center, which I guess is the best place to train wrestlers. I don't think there's any facility like it anywhere else in the world, so. There's some strong minds in there. Let's get Steve Corino in there.
Yeah.
He'll teach people how to heal. He's not apologizing and he making any heat.
No, I don't think a lot of 7-year-olds were going to Ring of Honor, but yeah. No, that's and the other what was I was gonna say something. Yeah, I mean, that's another. Yeah. I don't know what I was gonna say. I completely lost my train of thought. Well, how unprofessional, Jesus.
We jump to Total Nonstop Deletion then.
Sure. This was ostensibly our reason for having a show.
So Total Nonstop Deletion looks to be pretty much their season finale because they've taped everything that we saw up through last week, including the EC3 Eddie Edwards non-finished title match, was the last of the taping, and that's when that is when they announced Total Nonstop Deletion at the tapings, to the point where Matt Hardy was like, everyone at home already knows this, but I'll tell you in the crowd, because he knew the word was going to get out as soon as that taping had and that's good. I mean, they started TNA's Twitter started advertising Total Nonstop Deletion before Matt Hardy even mentioned it. It's just trying to get buzz for next week. So what it is, for those who don't know, is it's 2 hours of the Final Deletion-esque filming in lieu of like in-ring action. So it's pretty much the Final Deletion for 2 hours, which is a long time. And they've announced, so announcement-wise, so they have a TNA title match. I saw this, I think, last night, that Eddie Edwards is going to defend his title against Bobby Lashley at Total Nonstop Deletion.
I hadn't heard that.
That would be. I mean, I'll do the whole preview like I normally do. I think that'd be pretty funny if MMA, like Bobby Lashley, that's how he wins his title back in the least MMA possible. Like as these explosions go off around him and like fireworks.
Right. Under a dilapidated boat.
Yep.
With a volcano exploding in the background.
So that's one match. We're getting, and this is probably what Dave Bautista loves. We're getting King Maxwell's first TNA match. Probably against Rockstar Spud, because soon as it was mentioned, Rockstar Spud started working on Twitter that he's disgusted that this young child is getting paid more than he is and more fame. Well, he's probably not getting paid more. He probably does have more fame at this point than.
Yeah, I think probably, yeah.
But Rockstar Spud, he's a comedy wrestler for TNA.
I'm a Spud fan, yeah, but I don't pretend. I don't think he's.
Him getting pinned by a 2-year-old is not going to hurt him.
A household. I don't think he's. I'm not kidding myself and thinking he's a household name though. So yeah.
So that should be interesting. And then we've got obviously Tag Team Apocalypto, which is an open invitation from all
across time and space.
Time and space, yeah. It's elimination style. They announced on Twitter, so it's not first pin. What we don't know is how any of this is set up. Are all these matches going to be run at the same time? Because if you look at the trailer, you see like Bobby Lashley and Eddie Edwards fighting each other alongside like Matt Hardy, who's fighting like Abyss or something along the sides of that. I think all these matches are at the same time.
Holy shit, I hadn't even thought about that. I guess that's pretty awesome.
Well, I think it actually has to be because they have to keep cutting away to different things, or it's going to get real boring real fast. Because
which is sort of
2 hours is a lot of time for.
Which is sort of that's how they did. Was it Delete and Decay was like that too, where it would be like there was some in-ring action and then they cut to something else and then we caught up with them backstage and then.
Oh, that was the Great War. Delete or Decay was
the Great War.
Yeah, yeah.
Delete or Decay. You're right. I'm confusing them. You're right. The Great War is the one that was on Bound for Glory, right?
Yes. Yeah, and even that I felt, even though I enjoyed it, I even felt that was too long. Like the backstage stuff, because they'll have the fun moments where Matt lights his hands on fire and sets Janice the board of nails, and that's classic Hardy. But then you have them like hitting each other with clubbing blows to the back for 5 minutes, which isn't entertaining. So I do worry that the 2 hours is going to be too much. It's going to overexpose this whole bit, and it's going to have runs of just like brawl with no purpose between their big moments, like Abyss getting hit by a train.
Yeah, just the thought of Abyss getting hit by a train makes me laugh, which I guess means I'm a sick bastard. But yeah, that's a good. I mean, so that gets to the subtitle of this here podcast, which came from my man Dave Bautista saying that he feels the King Maxwell thing is what he specifically responded to, but maybe it's the whole, giving it a 2 hour window instead of just a half an hour on a 2 hour show is that has this jump the shark.
I don't know. That Dave Bautista has not watched any of this at all. Because if Dave Bautista had, and I do love me some Dave Bautista, I'd call him a friend of the show, but he doesn't know us. But we're friends of his.
I think. There you go.
Maxwell has been part of the Matt Hardy storyline all of 2016. From when he was Big Money Matt to the transformation into Broken Matt Hardy. Delete or Decay was about him. It was about Rosemary trying to steal his son. So what him in the ring doing the little delete back and forth, that's nothing.
Yeah.
That's nothing at all. That just shows like Dave Bautista saw this and it was like, oh, this is ridiculous, not having known that this is nothing compared to like the ridiculous that he had seen before or would have seen if he'd watched it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure he knows about it because, I mean, he's a semi-regular on Alex Greenfield's show. I think he keeps up with stuff. So I'm sure somebody has said to him, hey, Matt Hardy's lost his mind, and it's pretty popular. But, yeah, you're right. I don't see him pulling up a lot of Pop TV episodes to check it out. Yeah, and I guess, I mean, when you say it like that, Maxwell has been a part of this angle for most of his life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, probably. I don't know how old he is.
I looked it up to write something last week. I think he's roughly 18 months old now, which is how parents like to talk about their babies. I think he was born in like the summer of 2015 or something. So,
well, to put it this way, he wasn't standing when they started this angle.
Right. Rebby was always carrying him. Right. And now he can
out and he's wrestling on Thursday. So we're watching him grow up before our eyes.
Which is ridiculous and kind of awesome. So I hadn't really put together the whole. Yeah, I hope that they have. I mean, I hope it's not 2 hours of matches and that we've got, some time in the zoo and that sort of stuff maybe to set it up. But even that is going to be 2 hours is a lot. You're right.
It is a lot. The one nice thing about Total Nonstop Deletion, unless they really like shit the bed, is no Josh Matthews.
That is good. That's not a bad thing. Yeah.
He's not gonna be calling it. Or maybe he will.
I hope not, because I could stand for a week off of it. Gravel throat Matthews.
I actually I've learned to tune him out, which you have to. You have to.
Well, you get a lot of practice because you also do Lucha Underground and you have Matt Stryker there. So
I unpopular opinion, I still kind of like Matt Stryker.
Oh wow. I don't hate him, but there are things about he's not Matthews level for me. Matthews is the bottom of the wrestling announcer barrel for me, but Stryker's not too far above. I mean, there are things I like about Stryker, but I don't know.
I think he just feels. I feel like he fits that Lucha Underground though. Like his excitement, and he's got Vampiro. He's got a good play-by-play, something Josh Matthews does not have. And
no. Is it? It's still Pope.
It's still the Pope.
Oh.
So yeah, I think Matt. I think Stryker and Vampiro together. I mean, Stryker's also really good in putting over these stories too. Like that's his
True. And that's something that I've always liked. I was talking to DEO about this last week. I've always liked that about Stryker, is that he always finds an angle and then he reminds you of it. So with Lucha Underground, he doesn't have to find an angle. The creative does that for him, but he makes sure that you're aware of why people are fighting at all times.
One thing I like about Lucha Underground, now we've kind of, we'll double back.
Yeah, well, this is, CSL. We'll be all over the damn place. We'll be talking about your.
They have a very firm way that they handle these backstage scenes, and Matt Stryker helps sell that because they don't see them. Pretty much, they have no clue what's going on behind the scenes. Whereas in WWE, they'll see a backstage scene and then Cole will comment on it, but then sometimes he won't because it won't fit the story. Whereas in when they killed one of the members of the crew in season 1 of Lucha Underground, Matt Stryker was like, "Where is he anyway?" Like he played that up.
Right.
He didn't know who it was. That the things that go on behind the scenes aren't privy to at least the people there.
Right. That's true. And it fits with how they have to tape too. But I thought about it, but I didn't put it together. So you're right. He's got. I mean, they have a unique approach to commentary in general, I guess, because Vampiro is very much a part of the show.
Indeed.
And is aware of things and maybe orchestrating things that he's not sharing with Stryker, or if he's on his meds, maybe he's not aware of in the moment himself.
No, that's true. Yeah, they do it well. I mean, a lot of times, and I think it's probably because they established that from day one that he wasn't just an announcer. They weren't trying to throw him in like when they threw like Cole into a WrestleMania match.
Right.
They established that Vampiro was part of this lore. He used to do those backstage interviews that kind of like he did, which I miss. I miss those backstage interviews.
Yeah, I hadn't thought. Yeah, have they done? I haven't seen one of those since season 1. I guess
they did them in season 2 even. I think it was
right.
Just,
I mean, I guess that sort of makes sense since as far as we know, in between season 1 and season 2, he was in a mental institution. Yeah. So.
Yeah. And now he's got Prince Puma. Prince Puma's his new protege. Yeah. So that's
resurrected Prince Puma.
So I'm very curious where they're going to go with that, because Prince Puma's always been like the baby face, and now it's he's gonna go to darker places, which is good. I think he did something Prince Puma did to kind of make himself a little more interesting, which I think they've done a good job of this season. Is he staying around?
Well, that's what I was just going to ask. I mean, because I think as far as we know, he's not. But I don't think there was ever a definitive. I don't think he's come out and said I signed. I think he re-upped with New Japan, maybe officially, but he's been sort of with them the whole time as Ricochet. So I don't know if that prohibits him. The rumors that I remember, without doing research right now, was that they had offered him a big money deal. Lucha Underground had, and I think he passed on that. But I don't. Again, that was all. Reporting, not statements from them. So
I thought I remember.
I don't think we know. I mean, I think the assumption is that he's done after this season, but I don't think we know that for sure.
Yeah, there was rumor, because obviously the word was he was going to go to the WWE afterwards.
Right. Which I think he kind of all but officially ruled out right now.
Yeah, I think I remember the last thing I heard regarding that is that's not going to happen, and people thought that meant he was going to be in Lucha Underground longer. Because he's clearly allowed to.
I don't know.
He's allowed to work New Japan. He's been working New Japan the whole time. So
right.
Really not a conflict of interest in the eyes of Lucha Underground. Or at least they're willing.
I think Lucha Underground's thing is they don't want you on TV in the United States or Mexico with anybody else.
Okay, like Hernandez did with
right.
TNA.
With TNA, yeah. So I think that's what their contract prohibits. I don't think they have a problem with being on New Japan World. But I don't think he's not eligible to work a Ring of Honor pay-per-view or something.
But he was, and I guess because it was pay-per-view, he was just on the Evolve show.
True.
So I don't know if because it's pay-per-view, it's different than television.
I don't know. That's a good point. I don't know. Or maybe he's done. But even if he was done, the reports that I remember reading and even writing were that let you appear until like the season has aired.
Yeah,
maybe he had a different deal.
You have to be off television. Like if Rey Mysterio wants to go back to WWE, he has to be done with his storyline completed on Lucha Underground. So that's when people get excited, like, oh, he's not resigning. You still have to wait a year for his stuff to finish on television before they can go somewhere.
Right.
At least that's my understanding. I have no idea.
Right. Yeah. Again, we're talking out of our ass, which is what we do.
It's Cageside Live. Talking out of our ass.
Right.
That would be the title of every episode.
It's like we're like the old Jim Carrey Ace Ventura joke. So as the Lucha Underground guy, where are you with that as a show, and where do you think like fandom is with Lucha Underground as a show?
I got started watching Lucha halfway through season 1.
Mm-hmm.
And then I actually got the Sling. I got Sling to watch on season 2, specifically to follow. So season 1 was great, and I thought season 2 had somewhat of a lull, like especially the second half, like that.
Right.
I think Matanza as champ was more of just like service of story, and he wasn't an interesting champion. He was just part of their story. And I think that might have brought it down. And they didn't know what they were doing Prince Puma at the time, so he was working trios. So I thought season 2, well, not bad. I thought it was a definite drop from season 1.
Right.
Season 3 is definitely. I thought season 3 started slow. I was not excited to be like watching it on time at 8 to 9 and live blogging it in the beginning of season 3. But the last like month or two, they seem to find their stride. And I think it's because they I'm not sure how long this season's going, but I think Aztec Warfare is usually their halfway point. And I'm not sure if that's the case. I'm not sure how long it'll go. But they've concluded a lot of storylines in some really satisfying fashions lately. Pentagon Jr., I guess spoilers for anyone who hasn't caught up.
But it's aired live, so deal with it.
Both of his arms broken by Black Lotus and El Dragon Azteca as a measure of revenge after he fought the entire Black Lotus tribe, which are, I've never seen these women before, but apparently they're very big in Japan and they're all very good, which they showed off in this match.
They're a stable in Stardom, the big Joshi, the women's wrestling promotion over there. I think they're called Freedom. And so, yeah.
There was rumor, I thought, when at least I saw, I mean, not anything, like people talk in the comments, they heard that they were maybe headed to the WWE.
That was a big, and I think Meltzer had alluded to, like, that he thought a couple of them had signed Io Shirai and who was the third woman that came out, Hirotiki, I think, I don't know.
Hirokiri.
Yeah, there you go. And I forget which, but I think Meltzer had said that 2 of them had signed. But then maybe now they didn't. But they were rumored to be coming in for this women's wrestling tournament that we think is happening, that we think they signed Heidi Lovelace and all these other people for, but we're not sure. That's the theme of this show. Some stuff we heard that we don't know about.
Also could be a subtitle to the show. Talking out of our ass or things we heard about what we might know.
Multiple subtitles for the Jumping the Shark edition here.
Jumping the Shark edition. I'm pretty pumped for the idea of that women's tournament, though.
Yeah.
It's gonna be. Full disclosure, I've never heard of. I've heard of these women, but I'm more of a Morosco and less of a Reverend Kane when it comes to things like this.
Fair enough. We'll allow it.
When the CWC started, I had heard of maybe 8 people, and I've seen maybe like 3. And one of them was.
So I was going to ask you. So you're a little bit more than a Morosco because you actually watched the CWC.
Yes, I've heard of this, and I know their names. I can properly pronounce their names sometimes, except for Tony Nice. I'm sticking with that. Tony Nice.
That's fine. At least you don't call him Tiny Nice, which is I think what Gino has pledged to do. So
he'll keep altering it. But yeah,
that's true.
Yeah, I know a little
work in progress.
But Gino doesn't watch anything besides WWE when he has to. That's his thing, which is fine. I respect that. Yeah, I know a little more, but when it comes to like the women that are going to be in this tournament, unless they've signed someone like Angelina Love, Velvet Sky was rumored for. I've heard of her, obviously.
Yeah.
But like Heidi Lovelace, I've never seen her wrestle. Or who else do they bring on? I don't remember their names.
Kimberly, right, who was on last week's episode of NXT, and Evie, whose real name is Cherie Crowley, who's been around the indies for quite some time, wrestled in Stardom herself. So yeah.
So how you feel about NXT? What's your take on NXT?
I mean, I thought TakeOver delivered as usual. I don't think it was back, maybe even back at the pack in terms of how those shows go, but I think they managed to keep their streak of worthwhile live events going. I'm optimistic about where they're going. I think part of it for me, I guess I'm kind of like a process guy in terms of like how they're making the sausage. So it's interesting to me to watch them try different things and see what works. But it has not been, I mean, it definitely has lost its buzz, and I don't think it's like, I think Lucha Underground is recapturing its buzz. I don't think NXT is to that point yet. And I don't know. I don't actually see that on the horizon right away. I
think some of that.
It's a solid show. I like it because, I mean, the feuds have clear-cut motivations. There's not a lot of comedy to them. But I don't know. I mean, if Dash and Dawson really are getting called up, I mean, that's been the go-to source for much of my favorite stuff over the last year has been revival related. So that's almost as big a hole for me as like Bayley or Finn Balor was. So
yeah,
it's interesting.
I think it's hard nowadays for people to get their things like NXT or promotions to get their buzz back, because there's always the next cool thing around the corner.
Yep.
And with the social media as huge as it is, it's so easy to see what people feel. So like even when the CWC was out, that was the next big thing. And then it wasn't as good, and then that ended. And then I actually don't know what the next big thing is right now. But
honestly, I think SmackDown is the next big thing right now.
Yes, of course, SmackDown, the best show ever.
SmackDown, the show that's made just for us. I mean, it's even marketed to us the same way NXT was, kind of. I mean, it's the show for, if you don't like Vince, support this show.
The show that Vince made.
Even though, as far as we know, Vince is making this show, right?
It makes a ton of money off of it. Like every time you tune in to stick it to Vince, he gets some more money.
Yep.
That's fine. I even though we joke in the orifices about how we think SmackDown is a bit too idolized at this point, it's still a good show.
It's a really good show, right?
I like that piece that you sent me, that ESPN piece, though, talking about their thinning roster really starting to show, because they don't have anybody. Like, they've been feuding Ambrose and Styles since SummerSlam ended. And
I mean, AJ had like a mini feud with Ziggler?
I don't even remember that. But I don't remember a lot about Ziggler.
No, I'm the same way. But I mean, I feel like, their feuds there hasn't been a lot of variation. We've been doing some form of Styles, Ambrose, Cena. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but it's been going on for 6 months now. Ziggler, Miz, Corbin and Kalisto really has been going on that long.
Yeah, and then they're also rather heel heavy on the men's side. I mean, if they don't use the Undertaker to feud with AJ Styles, and they're going to eventually move Dean Ambrose, who do you even put there?
It's got to be Cena. Is there other? I mean, they don't, and that's part of the problem with like Corbin. I mean, he's ready to go into an Intercontinental title feud probably, but him versus The Miz doesn't make sense.
He's a heel. They're both heels,
right? And Miz has kind of used Corbin for help on occasion.
All their faces have just lost their major feuds too. Ziggler lost. You can't elevate Ziggler to feud with Styles because he just lost to The Miz. You can't elevate Kalisto they could to feud with Miz because Kalisto just lost, and they didn't even 50-50 that.
No, I didn't understand. I mean, that to me, the fact that they rematched that last week right away is proof of how thin they are. Because I think if you're not going to 50-50 book it, you probably we don't need to see Corbin beat him again quicker.
No. And then there's that Apollo Crews guy. Remember him? He exists.
Oh yeah, not really.
Oh my Lord.
Yeah.
Not use him. Talk about like the brand split has helped plenty of people. Not Apollo Crews.
Well, I think you'd be hard pressed to find anybody when they called him up who wasn't A, surprised, and B, saying he's not ready yet. And we've all been proven right. So
I mean, we don't even know he's not ready because we never even see him.
True. Well, I mean, he didn't really have a character, and proceeded to use that lack of character to not connect to the crowd. So that's kind of not ready. I mean, or they weren't ready for him. They didn't have anything.
Is he?
I don't even remember what he did.
Is he under 205?
He lost to Corbin, I think.
Can they move him to the cruisers? Or
I don't. I mean, he's not tall, but I think he's there's way too much muscle on that frame. He'd be a tough sell at 205. I think
I thought Neville was going to be over 205, but because Neville's a muscular dude too.
Yeah,
Neville's under. I will look up. I'll look up Apollo Crews' weight as we.
Because I mean, Neville is. I mean, but Neville's a lot shorter. I don't know. Maybe he is. I don't know. I mean, they could make up.
No, you're right. I'm Ray Roy. He's 240. He'd have to stop eating for a couple months.
Yeah.
So.
It's more than, which I guess is sort of what Cedric Alexander had to do, but it looks good on Cedric because there was a little pudge on Cedric when he was in ROH. But
so speaking of the cruisers, what are you feeling? Mm-hmm. You reviewed the first 205 live. What did the second do for you, if anything?
I thought it was a good main event. Again, I don't understand the rematches. I mean, we've already seen Gallagher Daivari 3 times now, which is a lot.
Yeah.
I'm a mark for Cedric Alexander, so I don't really like seeing him. Did that happen on Raw or 205 Live? There's a problem. I don't know.
Which match was that? I watched
when Cedric lost to
that was on Raw, I believe. I reviewed Raw, so I should know that. But I was so busy with Enzo's penis that I got distracted.
Yeah, it was busy. That was a lot. There was a lot of penis talk. Who did he lose to? See, that's also a problem.
Noam. He lost to Noam Dar.
Oh yes, and then
Noam Dar heel.
And then Dar cut a promo in Scottish that a lot of people didn't understand.
It was in English, but you just couldn't. It's a Scottish accent. I think it was in English.
I believe he did speak English, but yes.
Where he dedicated the win to, I guess, Cedric's girlfriend, Alicia Fox.
Right, to Alicia Fox. Right.
People don't love that they're using this storyline, but that does show me that they care enough about Cedric Alexander to give him a typical WWE relationship storyline. Or it could be someone like Drew Gulak. He's not dating anyone backstage in kayfabe.
No.
He's cutting terrible promos, but he's not doing that.
He's being left to die on the stage on the ramp with a microphone, but yeah, I mean that is one way to look at it. I mean, it's sort of a WWE rite of passage. You have to be in a horrible relationship angle.
Daniel Bryan was the one with the Bella Twins and Gail Kim.
True. Before and AJ Lee before.
Yep. Got to do it.
How do you look at Daniel Bryan and say this guy needs to have a girlfriend on screen at all times? I guess maybe they thought he didn't have enough charisma otherwise. So
the storyline was the Bella Twins were fighting to take his virginity. That was the storyline. So Vince
blocked that out.
Vince was probably like, this vegan has never had sex. Let's run an angle. But then in the end, to Vince's credit, he was, because he was hooking up with Gail Kim. Not to blast. Wow. That's the stuff people try to forget that, and I just reminded them of that angle with Daniel Bryan.
And why did that stick in your mind? That's what I want to know.
Because it was an excellent wrestling angle. I don't know. Weird shit sticks in my mind like that.
That's why I think it is important to not freak out too much about the Enzo angle from last week and things like that, because the story never ends. We're going to be watching these guys do stupid shit and be in dumb stories, and then every once in a while they'll be in a great match or a great story, and then they'll go right to the next dumb story. I think especially with like you said, with how quickly we can instantly react to everything, there's a tendency for people to go, this is the worst thing ever, it's ruined. That guy's buried. And that's not how this works.
Yeah, it's a good chance that every major wrestler went through a terribly booked storyline. But at least it's again, at least when creative's trying to get them something, it's more important than just leaving them out. It's more important than doing them like Apollo Crews. Get them a storyline, see if they connect. That's why I like dumb low card angles, because at least gives these people time to go out and try to win the crowd over. That you can't do that when you're not on television. Yeah. Like Heath Slater, they kept giving Heath Slater these jobber ones, and he made it. he used it. I mean,
Yep.
I have no clue what they'll do with him now since that heartbreaking Talking Smack stuff.
Yeah, that's like, and that's been like the most popular post of the last week. I mean, it's just people click on that story every day because we all love Heath Slater. Apparently, who knew?
I bet I wouldn't be surprised if he feuds with The Miz next.
I would actually like to see that. I mean, they also sort of have set up this maybe Ty Dillinger might come up from NXT thing with their Twitter, which is always hard to tell. WWE uses stuff that happens on social media when they want to, and they ignore it other times. So who knows if that's just two guys having fun or if there's something there, but that's the other possibility. I'd like to see. I think Heath deserves at least like a TV-only feud because they're going to go a long time between pay-per-view, and they're going to have the Royal Rumble, which probably isn't going to have a whole lot of. It's sort of like Survivor Series. They're going to put all the people in, a lot of guys into the Rumble match itself, so you're not going to have a lot of individual championship feuds.
The builds to those matches are often terrible because they don't bother to because there's nothing to build to. So instead of building a feud that they could advance in the Rumble, they just talk about the Rumble for a month and then have it. And then if we're lucky, they build one or two feuds out of it. That was some of my problems. Those Rumbles that, like 2 years ago when Reigns won and everyone else hated it, the biggest problem with that Rumble was they did not build anything for anyone. That Rumble was specifically put together to get Reigns the least amount of booze instead of trying to build people some story. This is the time. Like Survivor Series, the good Survivor Series matches this year, they had feuds walking out of it. And that's important to do with these 8-people tags or these 30-men battle royals.
So hopefully they'll keep that. But that's why I think. Maybe Heath. I don't see Heath Slater as Intercontinental Champion, but I could see a really good feud that helped Miz get more heat and got more sympathy for Slater to do something else down the road by taking this time in between TLC to what's their next one? It's not. Is Elimination Chamber them? It is, I think.
It's after the Royal Rumble, though, right?
Yeah. So you've got that time where you could tell a TV show, a feud that happens on Tuesday nights, maybe with something that flares up in the Rumble if both guys get entered in the Rumble, or maybe that's an undercard Intercontinental title match is Miz Slater.
Yeah, it's perfect.
For a Rumble. That's yeah, exactly. You might as well. So yeah, we'll see. But but they didn't. Apparently, they're going to go with Miz Ambrose, which again is it's a different matchup, I guess, but it's still just moving the same parts around.
It doesn't make any sense to me. They specifically use the brand split to keep Ambrose elevated, and then they're going to drop him. But that's the thing. They don't have anyone else. They don't have anyone for him to have a blood feud with. It's like when you're not in the title picture, but you're one of the top guys, you have to get a grudge match. His only grudge match is against James Ellsworth. So
that's what I was going to say, which is another thing, which I think SmackDown's done a pretty amazing job at using Ellsworth, but I think it's also I don't know if it's a crutch, but I think it could end up being a problem that you've dedicated all this time to a guy that you can't really, blow a feud off with anything more than a beatdown.
Yeah, single dirty D.
Which we've seen with him and Styles a few times now, even though Ellsworth wins those matches, but. Yeah,
so he's I don't think he's ever gotten offense in. Maybe once. I think once he
gets the sweet chin, the no chin music at some point. Yeah, but other than that, he doesn't have a prolonged period where he's on top.
So would you, if you were in charge, if the book was in your hand, would you call Dillinger up, or would you leave him in NXT to be like a main eventer?
I think I would probably call him up and see how it goes, with the understanding that I might be sending him back down to be a main eventer. I don't know how you'd have to be careful with how you do that, but he's another guy that he's, mid-30s. He has an angle that he has a gimmick that people are aware of on the main roster. The 10 chants happen everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Some of that is probably people they like chanting 10, but I think enough people know where it comes from. I'd give him a shot on the main roster with the understanding and if it doesn't work, he goes back down and is a trainer and a part-time performer at NXT kind of thing, like a main event gatekeeper kind of a guy.
You may as well. If you're not going to put him in the title picture in NXT now, you're not really doing it. Right now, he's in another I lose all the time storyline.
I think they could go either way with him. I've heard the argument that Ty Dillinger wouldn't sell tickets to NXT house shows, but I don't know that I buy that. I think if they presented him as a guy, if they culminated this losing all the time story with the surprise NXT title win and gave him time and showcased him in that way, I think he could be somebody that people would be excited about. I don't know.
I don't see why not.
I think it's possible for him to work in either role. It's just where they decide they need him.
And they've still got like Bobby Roode and I guess Eric Young if they want to. They're going to help sell.
Yeah, I love Eric Young, but I don't know if he's a ticket. I don't know if he's going to be a ticket.
Probably more Roode. I do think
in Roode's current gimmick, I think he could.
I think they've used Young perfectly. I think the Sanity gimmick is excellent.
Yeah.
I love that. That might be one of my favorite things. I guess next is I love Dash and Dawson. I love the title scene too, and then Sanity. I think Sanity, like those four are perfect fits. I guess they switched out. I guess Damo was
apparently Sawyer Felton got
it. But we don't know if Damo's seen it yet, right?
No, I think he's with them on house shows, so probably.
Okay.
I mean, but we haven't seen that. We haven't seen how he gets there. I thought they launched Sanity great. I'm a little kind of adrift with it right now. I'd like to get a little bit more something. I'd like them. Well, I guess I'm tired. I mean, their one feud has been beating up No Way Jose a lot, which doesn't do much for me. So I guess maybe that explains sort of my lull with it. Did tease Nikki Cross versus Asuka, which would be good.
Yeah, it definitely would be good because we don't know. I think they rumored the next Asuka match would be against like either Royce or Kay. Wasn't that? Yeah,
that was. I think. Yeah, that's what Meltzer said, but I think that was sort of that was just Dave speculating more than he had a source telling him that. So I don't know.
I don't see how that would be that. I mean, I really like both women, but I mean the Billie Kay's biggest match was a squash to Ember Moon.
I think they've struggled to. I mean, I liked both of them on the Indies, and I think their gimmicks are okay, but I don't think they're really connecting with people. It doesn't help. I mean, it's a rehash of a Beautiful People or the BFFs or Lay Cool. There's not really anything new and exciting. Not that there's a whole lot new under the sun, but yeah, it's not. I don't know. I don't think that would be. Nobody's going to think either one of them is beating Asuka, where I think you could build a story with Nikki Cross right now where she's just crazy enough and we haven't seen her enough. She hasn't been exposed and lost to Ember Moon a bunch of times. So you could sell that a little bit better.
Yeah, their women's division still in work in progress because you have too much of a gap between Asuka, I guess Ember Moon, but they haven't told any stories with Ember Moon. She's just kind of
I mean, yeah, she comes out and has weird colored eyes and then she hits her finisher on people. I sort of have a theory that they may have like intentionally cooled off the NXT women's division because they knew that nothing would follow the 4 horsewomen era. So they just said for 6 months, we're going to have Asuka beat everybody's ass. We're going to get over Ember Moon's finisher. And then, once there's enough of a space in between the two, then we'll start trying to actually rebuild it, which might, I mean, I don't know. It's one of those theories that I could pull evidence together to support, but it's all just me talking out of my ass. Again,
the theme of the show.
Yes. But I think whether they intentionally did it or not, that's essentially what's happened is they've cooled off the entire division for a while. And now they're at a point where maybe they can start to rebuild it.
It helps that the main roster women are doing really well, or at least better than they used to. So I don't think that's why they intentionally cooled anything off, but at least you have that. You have the proof that they can go on and do something. So they don't have to try to set the world on fire in NXT since they got WWE women doing it now. You think that's going to close? Do you think that women are going to close Roadblock, end of the line?
I think they have to. Yeah. I really do. The more I think about it, I mean, you've already had this feud main event a different show. And then with that stipulation and with, unless they do something to really heat up Owens Reigns tonight, I don't see how you could try to put that on after them.
Yeah, it's more the fact that if Owens and Reigns were something, you can make the argument. The women don't need a headline every show, but right now they're the only match that makes any sense to do so.
That's the long-term feud. I don't dislike Reigns Owens. I think the stuff they've done where, Roman is sort of playing psychological games with Owens and Jericho. Not that he's making it happen, but he's seeing them fight between themselves and planting some seeds of doubt in each of their heads with his comments to them, that kind of stuff. I think is a fine clever little feud, but it's not a blood feud the way Sasha and Charlotte is right now.
No, it's clearly looks. I think that's just to get them over the hump, the lull before the road to WrestleMania. So I think that's all that feud is. Because I don't know where they're going to go. I'm wondering if Chris Jericho and Kevin Owens is going to be like a Mania title match at this point.
I don't know. The way that I sort of see it is I would imagine that Owens and Jericho is a Mania match, but not for the title. At some point, they're going to have
him drop it.
Owens drop it, yeah. But I don't know. I don't know that for sure. I guess I don't know who, because I guess I don't know. Do you bring Triple H back and title again? I mean, that didn't work last year. You were there live to watch that. Not
oh my god,
that that many people excited. I mean, so I don't know if you want to do Rollins.
Legitimately sleeping through that match. That match coupled with like a 30-hour pay-per-view was just
right. Preceded by Rock with flamethrowers and
oh god, that segment that was it for me. That killed the rest of the night for me. The Rock talking for 30 minutes, which he'll do again this year.
Bro, if they can get him, they'll definitely let him do it. Yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting that is his like tribute to the Troops show, is that on tonight, and then WWE's is on Wednesday?
Oh, that's right, he is doing that. I saw a clip of that. With, that guy has branded himself across every platform.
He is no dummy, that's for sure. Yeah,
done very well for himself, and he's still really likable. Like usually, you get this famous people,
exactly.
But he is still like charming as all hell.
Like, yeah, and there's I mean, the only place he really gets backlash, I think, is in the wrestling world, where like hardcore wrestling fans, he comes back with a flamethrower to squash the Wyatts, and everybody's like, oh fuck. But everybody else is still like movie fans and people on social media and stuff. Everybody else is still thinks The Rock is cool, which is quite a feat. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so we're coming up on an hour here. So I don't know, what are you most excited about? Who do you think? So we know that the Express That Rocks and Rolls will show up at Total Nonstop Deletion. At
I guess
tag team Apocalypto.
Yeah. Okay, so in that match, who we know are obviously the Rock and Roll Express, the Hardys, the DCC, which is the James Storm, Eddie Kingston, Bram, Decay are there, and the Helms Dynasty, which is Andrew Everett and Trevor Lee, alongside Carolina Hurricane Helms. So I think the real big question is, are they going to somehow sneak? I don't think the Bucks are going to be in the match, but are they going to somehow like have a little something at the end where like the Bucks are like watching them from afar or something? Are they going to do something with the Young Bucks, especially because they're going over to Ring of Honor and doing Too Sweet or Delete? Is that what they called it on Twitter?
Yep, I think so. Yes, which is just brilliant. Yeah, I would be pretty surprised if we don't get something. Whether it's they cut, they hack Vanguard 1 and show a video like kind of to return fire from what they did at Final Battle. I don't know. I'd be pretty impressed if they managed to sneak Matt and Nick Jackson onto the compound in Cameron and nobody leaked it.
Especially because someone like the Rock and Roll Express, which no one really was like, are they going to be there? Like that got leaked.
Right.
So I can't imagine that would get leaked, but the Young Bucks wouldn't.
Yeah, and unfortunately, there's zero chance that the Day of the New will be there.
Yeah, the Day of the New won't be there, but maybe they'll have like some homage to them anyway.
True, they could
reference to them. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Even though I'm weary on the 2-hour format, I have no reason not to be looking forward to whatever ridiculousness they're going to throw at us. And we're going to get a women's match too. I don't know who gets who.
Oh, that's right.
But he did say that at the taping. At the taping, he said that Rosemary would defend her Knockouts title, but they cut that out. So I don't know if they changed their plans.
Interesting. So I mean, yeah, they've got a lot to throw at. I mean, so they've got 2 title matches that we know of: the King Maxwell versus somebody, and then Rosemary versus somebody that may or may not be for a title. So they got a lot to fill up a 2-hour show with commercials and everything. So I'm cautiously optimistic.
Yeah, I think that's
even if it's a train wreck, it'll be worth talking about. So that's what TNA still needs.
Yeah.
Do you think TNA becoming like the Broken Universe is good or bad for TNA long term?
I guess it depends on
the job of balancing it.
Right now, I think they're doing a good job of balancing it. If this thing that they're doing on Thursday isn't a often thing, if they did it too often, I think it would kind of start to really erode like the in-ring stuff, the Impact Zone stuff. They found a pretty good balance. They've kept Matt Hardy, except for this Thursday. They've kept him away from people who he should be away from. Like he feuded with Decay, which is a perfect feud for them because they can do both the in-ring stuff in the Impact Zone. Right. They fit into that broken.
To the over the top, yeah.
I don't think we should be getting a ton of TNA title matches unless they decide to put the TNA title on Matt Hardy, which I wouldn't be surprised if they do that in 2016. I guess 2017.
Right.
Next year when he because he is their draw. He is he's overall it's good.
Yep.
If it weren't for that, people wouldn't be talking about TNA except for all the news, like them owing a shit ton of people money, which I guess we haven't heard about since the Anthem.
No, we're waiting for the finalization of the ownership shift to Anthem, and I guess they'll probably pay off a lot of those debts. I would assume. I don't know.
Wasn't the rumor? Obviously, it's all rumor and talking out of our ass. But wasn't the rumor that next year they want to try to get back into touring?
Yes, that's and I think maybe even Dixie said that to the troops or something at one point.
You mean like the wrestlers, or did they actually have a thing for the troops?
No, just the wrestlers. They're not getting it. They're not trying to get in on Rock's action and do tribute to the troops too.
Matt Hardy for 2 hours.
Yeah, that would be pretty brilliant, probably. Just watching like veterans and people like looking at him talk to his giraffe and shit. Yeah. No, apparently they want to get back into that. I don't know.
I think their problem is they'd have to really restructure a lot of contracts. Most, if not all, of their talent are doing indie shows all the time. Some of them,
and apparently even some of them have contracts where TNA is supposed to control that, but they don't enforce that part of it or something. I don't know. They're a mess. They're still a mess.
Because I think like EC3 is a champ in like an indie promotion, like not a big one, but like one of them, and obviously Matt Hardy is doing all these different shows. So they would really need to restructure, and they can't restructure the contracts until they can guarantee that they're going to be able to pay these people.
Right, and they have the clear owner. I don't know that they've got a clear ownership structure yet. I think it might still be. I think what we have is like Anthem came in and said, yeah, we're going to make sure things get taken care of, but we still don't know exactly what that means.
So right now it's just lip service until we see.
Yep. It was enough to get Billy Corgan to settle, and that's all we know.
Yeah, I don't think he had. As soon as the Tennessee law did not allow that clause in the contract that if they defaulted, he would get the company, he was done for. Yeah,
pretty much.
So, he was good. I didn't enjoy him on screen. I thought he was a pretty bad on-screen talent, but it looks like he at least creatively was like pushing for the broken stuff.
Yeah, I saw a quote from Jeff Hardy, I think from a recent interview where he was talking about how he was friends with Corgan and how good his time there was for the company. So. I don't see anybody other than I haven't heard anybody on the talent and creative side say that Corgan was bad while he was there. So
no, if anything, they're trying not to say he was really good. Like Mike Bennett has a problem keeping it. Like he didn't say anything poor about the company, but he's definitely made sure to praise Billy Corgan on his way out. So one thing's for sure, they're going to be around for another 20 years. So
I've said it before. Especially this time. We were watching the company die, and then they didn't.
Yeah, yep. Eventually, they're gonna die. It's gonna be like the boy who cried wolf, and it's gonna be like, well, they're really done this time. And we're like, nah.
Yeah, or it'll just be like out of nowhere. Like everything will be going great, or just status quo, and then one day there'll be an announcement that like they didn't get a new contract and they decided to fold the company or something. Yeah. And that'll just be. It'll be no fireworks. It'll just disappear one day.
That would seem about right.
That would be totally TNA, exactly. All right, my friend.
That's all I have. We talked about
pretty
much everything. We might have even talked about like main stage Raw at one point. So I think we covered
we touched on Enzo's dick, which I think is the most important thing.
Yeah, no, that's all that's important about Raw.
Right.
But I do want to say I think that Rusev is going to lose to Big Cass at TLC because he catches Lana peeking at Zoe's crotch. That's going to be the finish of the match.
Jesus. Well, at this point, that could sort of be like a rib on Alberto Del Rio, too. So,
it's true. Beating the shit out of a Ninja Turtle.
For apparently maybe touching Paige. Ugh.
I'm surprised. I mean, he does a lot of things with him. So, and her suspension's up. I'm very curious.
Well, that's the thing, right? She's supposed to be coming back to do non-wrestling stuff, whatever that means. I guess film Total Divas, but
I still would not be surprised if we're writing up her release in a couple weeks.
Yeah, especially if she keeps being in the middle of, fights with Ninja Turtles. So
we'll see about that. Well, that's a different story for a different day.
Yes, and we can't go out on any higher note than that. Alberto Del Rio versus a children's character. So I'll be back with Gino tomorrow, I believe, unless he's really mad at me for him to this. I don't know. I can't tell you for sure. And I think that's it.
All right.
So Kyle, thank you. Read Kyle's stuff. Follow Kyle on Twitter at Kyle Decker at KFD. What is it?
KFD 2010.
There you go. You'll get random Mets and Rams stuff, but a lot of, wrestling and maybe occasional other things. So there you go. All right, everybody. Bye.